All right, looks like we good to go. Listen, y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Sam with Vertical Expressions coming at you with another episode of Not Another Christian Podcast. I think this is episode 14. Don't fact check me on that though, because to be honest with you, I don't even know. Looks like I'm coming in a little bit too hot right now. That's better. All right. Today we got a little bit to unpack. Not a lot. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because apparently you guys rather listen to me talk for 20 minutes than 40 minutes. So, all right, the people have spoken. Too much is too much. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in my life. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm seeing going on in this world, challenges that I know not a lot of other people are facing. And we're going to get into a Bible study. I decided to call this video, Are You Actually Honoring God? And it's a very Christian, what's the word? It's a very churchy title, right? Are you actually honoring God? And I know a lot of folks who watch this, you know, a lot of people aren't Christian. A lot of people aren't religious at all. A lot of people who just know me, just watch the show because they know me and they just want to, you know, see what's up. But I think that today can offer us some insight beyond what you might think, beyond what you might think. I don't know why I feel a little bit awkward, man. I feel like I put so much pressure on myself for this video. I was like, yo, today we're going to be concise, short and sweet, because I think what we're talking about today is super important, right? And it starts with intention, all right? Intention. Because are you actually honoring God, or are you actually honoring whatever code you want to honor or you subscribe to, right? Let's say you just want to be a better person. You want to honor that idea of living up to your potential. Well, are you actually doing that? What does that mean to you, right? Depending on who God is to you or what your God is, are you actually honoring God? Your acts of honor are going to differ depending on that, right? So lately I've been really struggling, and I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You know what? I think it's because the microphone is this way. It's just throwing me off. But I decided why not try it, because my wife was using it like this and I was like, oh, that looks very dope. Just like, so I figured I tried it. Lately, I feel like I've been struggling with getting to know me, the real me, right? Getting to know the me getting to know me beyond the idea of me, right? I know who I want to be. I know who I project myself to be in my head. But who am I, fundamentally speaking? Who do people see? Who do people remember? When I meet someone, who do they walk away knowing? People who have known me and have been in my life for years, who do they actually know me to be? You know, in my head, I'm just thinking about these things and I'm wondering, like, who really am I? What am I doing? You know, what am I doing? I've known this about myself for a very long time, is that I am very competitive, extremely competitive. I love to win. I used to be a sore loser. I really didn't like to lose. I've grown to accept the fact that you're always going to lose some, you know, but I'm still very much like competitive in that nature, maybe to the point of immaturity. I just don't like to lose. I don't like feeling like I'm losing. I don't like feeling like I'm behind other people. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be vulnerable. I don't like feeling like I'm less than, right? And a lot of that has to do with insecurity and self-betrayal. Why I go so hard. And I've actually gotten pretty good at this. And I say pretty good because I'm not gonna judge myself by what I see in the world. That's what I used to do before, judge myself by everybody else's standard. I would make anyone who's doing better than me the standard. And if I'm not doing better than you, then I'm somehow not doing enough or good enough. So what I started doing, I'm just comparing myself to me and who I used to be. And I'm getting pretty good. You know, a lot of the driving force behind me right up until maybe 2019 was a lot of insecurity, right? Trying to live up to expectations put on me since I was a kid. Trying to live up to those expectations, And it made me a fighter. It made me someone who, like, I'm gonna go for it. You know, there's those type of people where it's like, back is against the wall. You're gonna fight your way out. You're gonna try. You're gonna go for it, or you're just gonna give up. You know, I am the fighter type, and I'm not gonna say that makes me any better than the person who just decides to do nothing. But the truth is that it did come with the benefit of, whether healthy or not, you know, these insecurities pushed me towards accomplishing certain things that, for better or for worse, have put me in a better position to succeed in life. It is what it is. I thank God for that. Always acknowledging the fact that some way, somehow, he's just always pulling the strings of my life. And I pray that he is, because I'm an absolute mess. But the reason why I bring this up is because I feel like 2021, 2020, 2022, it's whatever. Time has nothing to do with it. Don't even know why I said 2021. I just feel like I feel like a lot of us don't really know who we are. We don't know what we are, right? I feel like we don't know who we are because we don't fully understand what we are, and we don't know how to get to know that, right? You know that saying, you are what you eat, and more or less, it's kind of true, right? People who just eat well tend to physically manifest the lifestyle that trumps over people who don't eat well. Statistics. But why I say that we have to focus on what are we to know who are we, it's because in the what, we sort of get to find clarity that's not biased. What I am versus who I am, that relationship in my head, it's not clear at all. Like, who I am, my idea of who I am, it's so far from what I actually am. And a lot of that may have to do with maybe conceit and building myself up and in my head thinking that I am at a certain standard to sort of make me feel myself, to sort of make myself feel better, to make myself feel better about who I really am, right? But to everyone else who sees me, they see the real me, they see what I am, and it's so far from the idea of who I am, right? So how do we get to know what we are so that we can define who we are? Because if you're thinking you're this, oh, who am I? Oh, well, I'm a winner. I never lose. I'm a winner. This is how life should be, you know, and I continue to project that. I'm blind to the fact of what's actually happening, right? And I think this is the perfect time for me to get into the word, because I feel like this illustrates perfectly what I want to talk about. And y'all already know, we're going through the book of 1 Samuel. This is something that I read a couple days ago, this past Monday, and it stuck with me because I see so much of myself in Saul. I'm a huge David fan. Like, I really am. I'm a huge David fan. If my legacy could be anything close to David's, a man after God's own heart, then that is a win for me. You know, David is an example. He's a role model for me. But sadly, I find myself relating more and seeing more of Saul in me than I would like to, right? I don't want to see Saul in me. Saul was the bad guy. Saul was the failure. Saul was the failed king. But I see so much of me in him and what he does. Look at this. I'm going to start verse 10. 1 Samuel 18, verse 10. The next day, an evil spirit from God came forcefully on Saul. He was prophesying in his house while David was playing the lyre, as he usually did. Saul had a spear in his hand and he hurled it, saying to himself, I'll pin David to the wall. But David eluded him twice. Now we know that Saul was jealous of David. We know that Saul was jealous of David and he was feeling some type of way. And he was feeling really insecure because he had been essentially cursed by Samuel. Samuel took or spoke a word over him on behalf of God that would ultimately doom Saul. And Saul was operating out of that insecurity. If you know you're going to lose everything, right? And your back is against the wall. You had two choices. You either move forward, you give up. In this case, Saul tried to do whatever. Saul tried to do whatever he could to get out of that position. And that's why I said earlier, like, if you're that type of person, you got your back against the wall and your fight or flight, you know, it's just fight. And I'm going to get out of this. And yeah, it'll work out well sometimes, but sometimes you'll start working against yourself. Sometimes you have to lose. And that's a lesson that I'm trying to accept and learn, is sometimes you got to be the type of person who accepts defeat and takes the L, because I think Saul's story would have been different had he just received that word from God and accepted, God, I failed, instead of trying to take matters into his own hands. And he was really just digging his grave deeper. His story could have been different had he just accepted, God, I failed you. That's it. Okay to whatever you want to do, God. But sometimes you're fighting and I've been struggling to remember this word for the past 3 weeks. Not the intent, not the habit. I'm going to say the habit is that if you know what word I'm looking for, please comment. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. I know I haven't told you guys that in a while, but yo, like the video, comment, subscribe. This is biblical gold, right? Lifestyle gold. Receive it. Enjoy it. Thank you for joining me. Happy Saturday, by the way. But let's have a little fun. Get the party started in the comment section. Let's talk. The temptation is to fight. The temptation is to try to fight it. Something bad is going to happen. Try to fight it. Sometimes you just got to accept it, right? But what I really want to get down to, and why I think this is says a lot about what I want to discuss today, is that verse 10, the next day an evil spirit from God came forcefully on Saul. He was prophesying in his house while David was playing the lyre, as he usually did. You see, Saul was prophesying. And why does someone prophesy, right? Biblically speaking, when you prophesy, when you're prophesying, it's because you're in connection with God. You're prophesying. You're declaring. I'm not going to get into what prophesying is because it actually is pretty vague. Says a lot, means a lot, but overall, we could come down to the consensus. We could get to this point and agree that if you're prophesying, you're definitely at some point or another just connecting with God and trying to connect with God. Now, Saul is prophesying. He is prophesying. Why would a man who is being forcefully taken by an evil spirit from God, a man who is trying to commit murder, has murder in his heart, why would he be prophesying? And to me, it kind of puts me in a position where I got to look inside and wonder. There have been many times where I would be in church, hands up, praising God, thank you. Yes, this is not worship. Everything's awesome. Everything's amazing. Oh, sorry. Just gotta make sure. Oh yeah, this is going. Sorry, sorry about that. There are many times I've been in that moment, and I realized that outwardly I'm prophesying, right? I'm worshiping. I'm in the presence of God. Yes, Jesus, God, break the chains, and you're doing these things. You're prophesying, and aesthetically speaking, from the outside in, it looks great, right? You look connected, but in the inside, I'm so far from God. On the inside, I'm in sin. On the inside, I'm doing things I'm not supposed to be doing. I'm misbehaving, right? And I wrote this note down. This is the only note that I wrote, and I wrote it last night before going to bed. I wrote down serving out of the wrong place and seeing it in your actions. It's so important to know whether you're serving or prophesying or singing or worshiping or connecting with God or praying out of all the right places. Because let me tell you, I know for a fact that you can spend hours praying to God out of the wrong place, out of anxiety, out of depression, out of worry. And it doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean that you're doing an evil thing by doing this. I'm just saying it's not coming from a place where, God, I just really want to talk to you. Sometimes you might vent, and that's fine. But when you're spending 4 hours repeating the same thought, you're being anxious. You're just dwelling in your anxiety and your worry more than you're actually telling God anything. You're just, at this point, it may have started as prayer, but you're just anxiety circling in your head about the same thing over and 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 over. And 4 hours later, you've really accomplished nothing more than the fact that you just thought about your problems for 4 hours straight. Right? Or what if you're worshiping and you're singing and everything looks good, or you're serving in church and you're doing it just because you want to be seen? It's the wrong place. It's the wrong place. It's all coming from the wrong place. Who are you? Well, I'm a worshiper, I'm a singer, I'm a prayer, I'm a Christian, I'm a this and that, whatever you are, whatever you want to call yourself. Who are you? That may be who you think you are. But what are you underneath that, right? And so we see that King Saul is prophesying. And who is he? He's a king that's prophesying. Aesthetically speaking, that looks great. King is prophesying. David's playing his lyre. He's playing his old-timey guitar, right? But what's going on underneath, and how do we define that what? And that what has to come from your actions. Your actions will forever speak louder than words. Your actions, your decisions, they're your testimony. They are ultimately who you are in this life. It doesn't matter if you spoke about doing the right thing for 5 years, and when it came to the moment of doing the right thing, you chose to do the wrong thing. At the end of the day, you did the wrong thing. You may have wanted to do the right thing, but you didn't. And we're trying to answer that question. Are you actually honoring God? Am I actually honoring God? We have to kind of get to that conclusion and be able to face the reality of what we are. In my head, I'm a winner. I am not phased. I'm strong. I'm all these positive things, but in reality of what I am, I'm insecure. I am operating my life out of insecurity. I'm afraid of failure. I don't know how I can live myself if I fail. You think about the what are you? Why? What are you doing that's defining you? All right. What are you doing and why are you doing it? King Saul, you're prophesying, but what are you doing? You're prophesying, but you're trying to kill David. Well, King Saul, you're a murderer. Right? The idea of who he is versus what he's actually doing. Where are you prophesying from? Where are you praying from? What position? What does it matter even if what you're actually doing is the far opposite, right? You're trying to connect with God, you're trying to connect with God, but when you have free time, what you're actually doing is Netflix, right? You're trying to honor God, but when it comes time, what you're actually doing is honoring yourself. What's the point, right? What I want us to do, what I am trying to do, what I need to do to answer this question, am I actually honoring God? It's so much more than the ideas of what I think I've done and what I've accomplished. I have a resume. That's a fact. I have a resume that I could present before God, that I have presented before God to sort of justify in my head who I am and all the things that I'm doing for God, right? I'm prophesying. It's the reality of it. I'm prophesying while I'm also playing the guitar, right? I'm prophesying. But right after the prophecy, I am essentially I'm not essentially committing murder, but you get the point, right? I'm prophesying, I'm doing all these great things, I'm serving in church, this and that. But I'm not taking enough time to connect with God as I should. I'm not being the husband that I should be. I'm not being there for people. I am not doing the things that would truly reflect my heart and my prophecy and my desires. And I'm never gonna get to know who I really am until I stop and I start looking at the things that I am doing and the decisions that I am making. Doesn't matter who you think you are. What matters is what you are. What have you shown yourself to be? And it's tough. And if you're that person who's just been doing the right things, then honestly, you're an example. But if you're not that person, take the time. If our intention is really to move forward, if our intention is to really grow, if our intentions are to get better, to do better, to be better people, to honor God, we have to be honest and we have to take a look and say, how far gone am I? What if Saul would have just taken a moment to say, oh man, did I just try to kill God's anointed? And later on in this story, we get to the point where we see the difference between King David and King Saul. See, while Saul was afraid of David, he didn't mind killing God's anointed, because at the end of the day, his intentions were really to please him and his insecurity at the moment. It was just to please him. It was self-focused. King David, however, sees God's anointed in King Saul and just refuses to lay a hand on him. And it's a beautiful thing because they're actually in the same position. He can't kill him. He just chooses not to. And he says he wouldn't do it because at the end of the day, he's there to honor God. I can't help but wonder if being persecuted by King Saul created in him that I know what it's like to be persecuted. I refuse to persecute someone. If it sort of created that character in him. But you can see the difference. And at the end of their stories, you can see why David is known as a man after God's own heart. So we have to start being responsible about the decisions that we're making, about the things that we're doing, about our choices, and know that we're operating from a place, although it may feel robotic, holding ourselves accountable to say, what I am reflects who I am. What I do reflects who I am. Right? If it's not reflecting, then we're living in the bubble, right? We're prophesying. We're prophesying just like Saul, where it looks and it feels like it looks good, feels good, but we're just operating out of the wrong place. We're bearing the wrong fruit. you guys, I'm not going to complain about it. I was going to complain about it, but I'll let you know, like, when I make these videos, you guys got to understand that the minute that I do this, I do find myself always facing these same challenges because I just feel like it just hits me twofold where, I really got to prove myself. And, it's good. I do get afraid sometimes, and sometimes I want to bite my tongue and not say it because I don't want to deal with the trials and tribulations. But if we're not here to grow, if we're not here to move forward, if we're not here to, just take life by the, if we're not here to take life by the whatever and honor God, then what's the point? What's the point? But that's it for today, y'all. Like I said, short and sweet. It's your boy Sam with Vertical Expressions. Do not forget to bless that like button. Do not forget to comment. Hit me with an amen. Is that too hard? Is that too hard to ask? Like, I don't even care. Well, I do care if you finish watching the video. I should have said this at the beginning of the video. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Hit me with an amen. Don't forget to subscribe. Share this with someone. Again, gotta understand, it's not even, this has so much more to do with everyone around us than just us. Right? If we can do anything to make sure and ensure that our community is growing, that we're getting better, that we're getting fed, that we're growing, then, we're trending in the right direction. That's why I make these videos, to make sure that it's not just me growing, my community is growing. I'm doing what I can with the influence that I have. So y'all, it's been real. It's your boy, Sam Vertical Expressions. Peace.